Well, thank you so much for the opportunity, Brian. And first thing I want to say is I consider all of you that are listening my brothers and sisters. I really want to tell you I consider all of you my family, and I want to start off by saying that I love you all. I really do. This is very challenging for me tonight, speaking to a group of principal chiropractors about the principle. It's hard because I want to listen to you. I want to sit at your feet, and I want to learn. There's so much for me to learn. My hope, basically, tonight is that I can build you up and encourage you, and that's, you've done that for me, so that's what I want to try to do for you tonight. So let's begin. Let's break it down. I want to start off by saying that I believe that God is doing something amazing in the realm of principal chiropractic. I think it's amazing. And Nate is from God, and we believe that if we move the bone, God does the healing. So by necessity, through principal chiropractic, God can heal the world. Now, God has chosen us to make those adjustments to heal the world. He has reserved us as a remnant of principal chiropractors to adjust not only the world, but the atlas of our profession. We need to radically transform this profession. And by doing that, we're going to transform the world. And I want to make it clear that it's really all done in God's timing. We know the principle that all processes take time. God doesn't often lift the curtain revealing his plan so we can see it all at once. He takes time to do that, and many times God uses adversity to bring about the best outcomes. And I want to talk a little bit about what I see happening in chiropractic. But we need to go back. I want to go back to 1918 with the flu pandemic. 100 million people died worldwide. 500,000 Americans died. At that time, our profession, chiropractic, was basically near extinction. The medical profession was oppressing chiropractors so strongly that chiropractors were not able to maintain a physical practice. They couldn't have a practice. So there was a heroic group of oppressed chiropractors that had the understanding, the perseverance, and the belief in the principle, coupled with the desire to help mankind. And they began to go door to door healing the sick. And the outcome of that was those that got adjusted, they didn't die. So you're talking about a major, major historical change because of chiropractic in 1918. And of course, the news spread across the country, lives were saved, and now our profession had been given new life. I just want to read something to you from the 1918 flu pandemic. Some of these heroic chiropractors who served faithfully during the 1918 crisis went on to become the major characters thrust upon the profession stage in the 20s and 30s. And they had the courage, the background, and the conviction to withstand all that would shortly be thrown against them, including being thrown in jail for practicing medicine without a license. The publicity and reputation of such effectiveness in handling flu cases also brought new patients and much acclaim from people who knew nothing of chiropractic before 1918. So my point is that God used this disaster to revive our profession. Let's fast forward to 2002. We've got this sinister plot to remove Dr. Sid from the school. And we can even go back earlier, 1964. DE is born because of an idea to anchor chiropractors to the principle. Now, out of that innate idea of Dr. Sid, once again, the greatest chiropractic college is born. The entire foundation of the college rests upon this unwavering belief in the chiropractic principle. And through his vision, he draws intelligent young men and women innately to Marietta, Georgia, to become the most successful chiropractors of our time. Now, I went to school. I started in 83. So in 1984 was my first DE. I was a student, and I went to the Waverly Hotel, and I got to tell you, as a student, it was a new hotel. It was magnificent. It was an amazing experience for me. I went pretty steady to DE. I saw and heard some of the greats: Ian Grosso, Fred Bard, Dick Santo, Bob Sotilli, Tom Kosterskis, and so many others. And of course, Dr. Sid, who was at the top of his game, the greatest voice in chiropractic, the defender of the faith. You know, I love what that man said then, but I have to say I treasure what that man says now. So, as I said, I went pretty steady until 1993, but here's what happened. I made a mistake. I stopped going. I unplugged. It was a big mistake. And by the grace of God, I remained principled, even though I was isolating myself. And I have to tell you, it was very, very lonely being isolated and principled. It really was. And I did it to myself. So from 93 to 2001, there was no DE for me. I went to some Saturday Night Lives, and we have a great group of chiropractors down here. And Saturday Night Live, actually, I started going to that. It started in Tom Kosterski's office, I think, in 1988, or maybe even before. And, you know, I was going there from time to time, but pretty much I had 1 foot in and 1 foot out. So back to 2002, I heard about what was happening at the school. I loved Dr. Sid. I heard, you know, what was going on. He was getting abandoned. People were abandoning ship. So I decided, you know, I want to go back to DE. I want to show my support. So I went to DE in 2002. Was out in San Francisco in July. It was great. I really enjoyed it. 2 months later, Dr. Sid, he came to South Florida, and he spoke. He spoke at Saturday Night Live. And I think between July and September, those 2 months, if my timeline's right, I think he had lost the school by September. Because when he spoke at that Saturday Night Live, frankly, he was somewhat broken. It was almost like he had lost a child. And you know what? It was very understandable from what was going on. He was under a lot of stress. And I remember at that time, at the end of the night, after he spoke, I went up to him and I said, you know, could I pray for you? And my wife and I, we prayed for him. He was very gracious. He allowed us to do that, and I'll never forget that. You know, my heart was heavy. I wrote him a letter. I wrote him a letter of encouragement, and life goes on. But, you know, that's late 2002. And a little bit about me. 2003, I had a house fire. My house burned down. My practice just plummeted. It was devastating. I was out of my house for 15 months. It turned out to be, even though it was a disaster, it turned out to be a phenomenal end to the story. And I'm not going to get into that whole thing. Those that know me know what happened. But 2005, of course, we had Hurricane Wilma. That blew the roof off my office. That was no big deal. We got that squared away. 2009, I'm up to 2009 now. Nightmare. My oldest son, 24 years old, a car runs into his door and nearly kills him. Broke his back in 3 places. 5 organs were damaged. Kid had never had a drug in his life. I get a phone call. My wife and I get a phone call. He's in a coma. They want to do emergency surgery on him. It's a phone call you never, ever want to get. And it just completely devastated us. The car that hit him, the kid that hit him, actually killed himself. And so we're going through this tremendous tragedy in our lives. Now, long story short, my son was healed in 90 days. 90 days. Chiropractic healed him. Yes, the emergency room saved his life. We got the best emergency service in the world, but chiropractic saved his life. The kid was drug-free. 90 days, he was healed. He's a professional golfer. He's now playing professional golf again. So it was just an amazing turn of events. But during that time, at the end of 2009, I got hooked in with this thing called Band of Brothers.